Hi, my name is Amena Lee, and I am an innovation consultant and performance coach, and I've been working across the Asia-Pac region now for over a decade, working with leaders and their teams, trying to create the conditions for creativity and innovation to happen. And, the one big obvious thing I've picked up on is that if you are burnt out and you're stressed out and you lack energy or mental focus, it is biologically impossible to create the conditions needed for collaboration, productivity, and creativity to happen. And so even before getting into the mental shifts that need to take place and mind shifts that need to change a culture, we really need to start at the level of our full intelligence, which sits in our whole bodies, right? The new frontier of neuroscience and psychology and Eastern practices of meditation and the body arts are now teaching us that our whole brain doesn't just sit up here, it sits as a distributed organ throughout our entire bodies. And when we receive feedback from the world, which is getting more and more stressful, we need the tools to react to those situations better. We need to be able to respond as opposed to being reactive under stress. There's a famous quote, I think, that originated from a Greek philosopher but eventually became known among Navy SEALs, and that is, under times of stress, we do not fall to the level of our expertise, we fall to the level of our training. And training is about drilling. It is about getting your body into the conditions where you can actually hijack the mind when it wants to be reactive to stress, and instead create that space needed in order to respond differently. So what I do is I work with people in workshop scenarios where we create small simulations of stress and pressure in order to give people insight into how they respond and orient around stress differently. And so my training is not about sitting back with your arms crossed and watching PowerPoint presentations about research and insight, although there'll be a little bit of that. This is about getting leaders on their feet, about creating simulations and situations where they develop a different kind of response to stress. We look at the neuroscience of the 3 nutrients that we all crave and we all orient around, but end up self-sabotaging because we've been conditioned that way for decades. And in order to undo that, you have to start drilling in new patterns of behaving and really hijacking the neurocortex through the body so that you can have a different relationship to stress and to pressure and to develop a higher level of response. And the cost of not doing this today are generally kind of invisible, even though we have the high cost of absenteeism, the high cost of presenteeism, because most of your people are there checked out and are working at a subpar level of performance. The real invisible cost is the upside of not mitigating these things to begin with, because we can't even envision what those might be. It doesn't matter how many beanbags you buy or foosball tables you put up in the common space or work-life balance trainings you add to your curriculum. It doesn't matter, because individuals are not only coming to work dealing with the stress at work today, it's about the stress that we bring in there from our relationships, from life, from the 5 hours of sleep we might have had the night before, from the 3 coffees we had to have that morning just to get us through the day. Stress now is a compounded effect, which essentially completely takes over our biology. And so this needs rewiring. This needs a whole new approach that doesn't work at the level of the mind to change. It works at the level of the body to practice new behaviors towards change. So I really look forward to helping you and your team innovate from the inside out so that we can go from 0 to 10 and turn on that intensity to deal with high stakes, high stress situations instead of living in that sort of 5 to 8 range of mediocrity. Because it really is about how do you respond to an unpredictable future today rather than react to it? And that takes drilling.